Welcome to the Monday Monologue. And as you can see this week from my bench that is a freaking disaster, that we've been busy trying to get caught up on some things that I promised folks that I would do for them. This is a Musisphere X7 that I'm doing the full upgrades on, doing a video series on the things I've learned and kind of a second round of, hey, here's how to mod these things. I really want to get away from doing this kind of stuff. I never intended Skunky Designs to be like a repair shop. And obviously, if it's an amp or phono stage that I sold somebody, repairing it's something that I'm interested in taking care of my customers. But as far as like taking these amps that have issues that were made by someone else and making that like a business model, it's just not something I'm interested in doing. It's too repetitive. It's just not fun. And that's the other thing. People are like, what is Skunky Designs? What are you doing? And that's still a question that I'm trying to answer. I'm not sure where this is all going, other than I do enjoy making these YouTube videos and I enjoy interacting with the public. I've got folks like, this guy Joe, and I put his handle up here on Audio Karma. I think it's Cabana Joe or something like that. Anyway, he just mailed me 2 big boxes of capacitors and resistors and a bunch of parts. I haven't even had a chance to go through them yet. And folks doing stuff like that, it really makes me realize that I must be doing something positive for the audio community, or folks wouldn't just donate stuff like that to me or give me donations at my website. I'm still shocked, and I'm not asking you to do this. Don't take it like that. But I'm still shocked when I show like a video of how to do something like this. I'll come in and there'll be a $100 donation on my website to my PayPal account, just like, hey, thanks for helping me fix my amp. And that lets me know that people are appreciating what I'm doing. And again, I'm not saying, hey, I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for that. Or I'm not asking you or begging for money or anything like that. Please don't take it like that. But it does let me know that, hey, I must be doing something right, or I must be on the right track. And so I know I've been doing a lot of like these little chip amp reviews and stuff like that, angel horn little phono thing, and trust me, I've had probably 24 other people wanting me to review, hey, here's our little retro CD player, and here's our little, I think that even doing that little angel horn phono, thing was probably not in tune with what this channel is about. And then someone else commented about how, hey, you're showing this budget hi-fi and stuff, and OMG, you spent $800 on a tape deck. What's wrong with you? You're just shysting and stealing money from us. It's like, what are you talking about? I mean, I just bought $3,000 worth of speakers, and I just bought a turntable and $1,000 worth of preamp and or step-up transformer and moving magnet or moving coil phono cartridge for my turntable. Like all you guys, I spend money on my system, and that's part of a hobby is, hey, when I've got some spare money, I'm going to buy some audio gear or experiment with some audio gear. Plus, it'll make good content for the channel, like that Tascam tape deck I bought, the Tascam 32. It's going to need something. There's something seriously wrong with it. I don't know what's wrong with it, and I don't know a lot about tape decks, and so it's going to be a learning experience for me, which is the thing that brings me joy from working on this stuff, is learning. If I wasn't learning and I was just kind of repetitively regurgitating stuff, this would have lost interest for me a long time ago. And that's why I'm really not interested in doing this kind of stuff that's just super repetitive. Now, building the amps, while that is repetitive too, I do get enjoyment from that sort of thing that feels more kind of cathartic, and I'm creating something from nothing. I mean, I've got like this, empty powder-coated chassis, and I got this box of parts that in no way resemble an amplifier, and I turn it into something that really looks cool and sounds great. And to me, that's a different thing than going in and repairing something over and over and over again. So, I hope that makes sense. And then, the other thing I wanted to touch on today, and I saw another YouTuber, and I'm not going to call out names, but he's got a mediocre-sized channel, and first of all, he was going on and on about like how much he spends every month making YouTube content, and how he wasn't even close to breaking even, and then bragging about not monetizing his channel, but then crying about, like, I spent $7,000 on my camera, and then the lenses, OMG, and then the microphone I got was $800, and I spent $1,000 a month on plugins for my video editing software. And I'm thinking, dude, what are you doing? Like, I mean, I've got this Panasonic Lumix camera that I bought used at the vintage camera store near me. Thank Wings Camera if you're interested in, used camera gear, used photography equipment. Super nice people. Anyway, I give them a little plug. And it's just using the kit lens that came with this other Olympus camera. And the only reason I upgraded to this Lumix Panasonic deal, and this is the number of the camera I'm using, Micro Four Thirds little camera, was it's got a place to plug in a microphone that my other camera was an Olympus E10 I think, didn't have a microphone input, and I was having to record the audio on a Tascam little handheld deal, and then going back and syncing it in post. It was a pain, and that was definitely a huge time saver, being able to have the audio synced to the video, and all I have to do is strip out the audio, do a little cleaning up on it, noise reduction and stuff, and then put it back in, because I really feel like having good audio is important. And this is a Countryman mic, or Country something mic, I can't remember, I think it's Countryman. It's a nice lapel mic, but I've had it for about 5 years, and then I use this little box here. I got this little box I got on eBay that does XLR in and out. It's got the phantom power, and then that goes to the camera. And so, yeah, it's not a bunch of high-end stuff, and I'm just using Premiere Elements to edit the video. Now, I did start recording in 4K and then downsampling it to 1080p, because the 4K files are just too big to deal with, and I don't think this type of YouTube content needs to be in 4K. So you could leave your comments below if you think I should be uploading in 4K, but I think most people are watching YouTube on 1080p, and it's got enough resolution. Before, I was recording in 1080p, and I think it looks crisper now that I'm recording in 4K. But anyway, back to what I was starting to rant about. I was like, Squirrel, yeah, how can you spend that much money a month making YouTube content? And honestly, the video quality didn't look very good to me for somebody that's spending $10,000 on a camera and a lens and thousands on a month on plugins for their video editing software. Yeah. Anyway, he then went on this multiple video rant about how none of the YouTubers can be trusted except him, and that they're all on the take, and poor me is the only person out here that's not getting paid for making videos, and all these other folks, nobody's paying me to do videos. And I've told you guys, like, some of this stuff, I tried to return that Angel's Horn turntable because I don't want it. It's not, I guess it'll play a record, but it's not something I'd ever use. And they wouldn't even take it back. They were like, no, just keep it. And I'm like, if you give me an address. I'll pay for the shipping to send it back to you. And it's the same thing with a lot of these chip amps and stuff that, yeah, they don't want them back. And I guess it's too much trouble for them to, on a lower end or lower price point item like that, to take it back, test it, to then rebox it to be able to sell it to somebody. And they just don't have a system for selling open box stuff. And so, yeah, we're probably going to do a yard sale soon and liquidate some of this stuff that I've ended up with. And anyway, but like the little Sparkos amp that I loved, I just shipped it back to Andrew last week. And I had no thought that I was going to be keeping that or that he was going to be giving me that thing. I mean, it's a nice, expensive piece of gear. So, and again, nobody's paying me. So this guy's claiming that every YouTube reviewer other than him is on the take. Just kind of pissed me off because that's not true. And I don't think everybody out there reviewing this stuff is on the take. Now, some of them may have deals. Some of these folks that, do this for a living, I'm not going to take it away from them doing what they need to do to make some money to pay their bills and whatever. And if they decided that doing YouTube reviews and or magazine reviews and that sort of thing is what they're doing as a profession, then they can do whatever they want. It's up to you guys to kind of figure out who's who and what's what and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's no different than, the car magazines over the years, given the, I remember years ago laughing, they gave the Chrysler K car the car of the year. Like, really? A Chrysler LeBaron is the best car being made right now? Somebody paid to have that award given to them. And I'm fixing to do a video of my top 5 under $1,500 tube amps that I've worked on and listened to. But again, nobody's paying me to do that review. And I'm sure it'll probably piss some people off the order I put them in, but I think that's a valuable review to put out there. So, yeah, again, I'm not going to name names. You may know who I'm talking about. I think he's only got like 5,000 subs or 4,000 subs, so he's, I don't know what he's doing. Whether he's thinking that making those kind of videos is going to grow his viewer base, and then he was talking about, like, well, I'm going to start doing basically infomercials as part of some of my videos where a manufacturer pays me to, like, talk up their product. So he's going to be doing what he's bitching at other people doing? I just found it comical. So, anyway, I am going to give I've got enough time today. I'm going to give a short version of my speaker cable enlightenment. And this isn't to say anything bad about any of the cables I used or that are part of this video. No cables were harmed. But, yeah, I just want to tell you the story and what changed my mind about speaker cables. And just to be clear, I'm talking about 3-foot speaker cables. We're not talking about long runs. These are little short cables which I intentionally use to try to eliminate their impact. So, I was over at my friend's house, lives up in Flowery Branch up near me, and he got some Blue Jean speaker cables that have those twisted pair of wires. And I think I showed you those. I actually did a review on them. And super well made. I like the way they electronically weld them instead of soldering the ends on. And they're locking banana plugs, which are super nice. And like I said, little short cables. And I had been using just Home Depot 12 gauge low voltage lighting zip cord, which seemed to work fine. But I was like, my system's getting a little higher end now, so let me buy a pair of nice speaker cables. And the banana plugs will make it easier for swapping out gear, doing demos and that kind of stuff. So ordered a pair of them. So they came in on the same day that 3 different albums or vinyl records that I had bought off eBay arrived the same day. One of them was sealed, new in the package. The other two were used, supposed to be good copies, right? And so I had swapped in those Blue Jean cables. So anyway, I put the first album on, and I was like, wow, that's not a very good mastering. Doesn't sound like it has, the low frequency's just not there. It sounds kind of thin. So I put the next album on. Same thing. And I was kind of scratching my head going, man, I really got screwed on this. Because that happens. I've bought albums, Journey is a great example. All of their albums are mastered just horribly. But anyway, put the third one on. Same thing. Sounded just kind of thin and stuff. And I was thinking, I just put those speaker cables on. There's no way they could be doing this. And that's where this reverse expectation bias kicks in. Because I was convinced there's absolutely no way it could be those speaker cables. So then I put on Midnight Blue by Kenny Burrell. Album I know just almost too well. And it sounded the same way. And I was just like, no, that can't be. Maybe something broke with the amplifier. I don't know. So, got my other speaker cables, hooked them up, the old Home Depot zip cord. Bam! The nice bass response came back, and I am still scratching my head, going, "What? How? That it still doesn't make any sense to me." And I know people are going to talk about skin effect and blah, blah, but, and it's not the quality of the cable, it's the synergy of those cable design with those twisted pairs in my amp with my system, something maybe to do with the capacitance in the cable or the way that twisted pairs interact with each other. And maybe if it was by wiring it where one went to one driver and one went to the other, or crossover thing, it could pull the little metal plates out, that would change how those cables work. I don't know. I was just stunned. So then I decided I'm going to go buy a pair of these World's Best cables, which I love their interconnects, and get the kind with the Mogami shielded speaker wire. And it's made by Mogami to be speaker wire. And it's a shielded type. And so I bought a pair of those cables. Again, little short 3-foot guys. And they were, I want to say they were like $60 or something like that off Amazon. And put those on. And not only did they keep the bass response of the zip cord cables, it brought more detail out of not even the upper end, kind of the upper mid-range just sounded more detailed, and like snare drums and those kind of, again, like detailed, not brightness, but just clarity was there. So guys, I've changed my mind on speaker cables, and I know for years I've been saying speaker cables are snake oil, and I'm still not sold that, you need $50,000 speaker cables. But I'm thinking, because my friend, he loved those Blue Jean twisted pair cables for his system. And he was using my EL34 5751 amp, same amp as but he was using Tecton speakers. And at the time, I was using those RP600Ms with basically the stock crossover. Just had like one cap was changed, same value, just a little like a Jasden instead of whatever clips put in them. So basically a stock RP600M. But then I've done a revisit of that whole thing with these Quad S2s, and it's even more apparent, the difference in the cables. And so I don't think there's any way to say one is the best, because he loved those. they didn't work for me. But then, clearly they work for other people. And so, it's probably just another one of those, like tube rolling, you just got to experiment. And it's worth playing around with to see what cable types seem to have synergy with your system. And I know the comments are going to blow up. I told you so, or I can't believe you're selling snake oil, but I'm just telling y'all what I heard. And I honestly believe that, like I said, there's like reverse expectation bias because I wasn't expecting there to be any difference. And I just get blown off that that could even be what was going on until I tried it for myself. And I was shocked. So anyway, that should make a fun Monday monologue. Should make the comments lively. Thanks to all you Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you. Like I was talking about earlier with other people sending me, some people send me vinyl every once in a while, but just knowing that there's folks out there that appreciate what I'm doing is what keeps me going. It keeps me making these videos. And I probably make them anyway because I just like talking. But anyway, thanks again to you Patreon supporters. Thanks to you regular viewers and you folks that support the channel. There's a whole bunch of you, it seems, that just tune in for the Monday monologue and don't even care about the tube amp part of this channel, which is kind of fun. So, here's one for you. Hopefully this is a spicy one. And we'll see you next week for the Monday monologue.